Hey, is that red light on that little mic? Thank you.
Do you need anything, Sid?
Just the coffee. Morning, John. Not too bad. How are you? You're not in your usual seat. No. Really? Pardon me?
Good morning. We can take down, thank you, Jennifer, she's all over it. I'm going to start off today by inviting everyone who got a leaf to hold up their leaf. And we're all going to say together, Jennifer, can you take it down a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. We're all going to say together the traditional greeting for today, which is, of course, Mary Mabon. What? Mary Mabon. Mary Mabon. Mabon, and I'll be talking about this again later, was the ancient Celtic festival that occurred right now. Because what happened at 8:22 today? The autumn equinox. And in the Celtic regions, a lot of places, they only celebrated 2 big festivals in the year. And they weren't the solstices, which get all the attention now. They were the equinoxes. Because in the spring, they were praying for a good planting, that the plants would grow during the summer, and in the fall, they had an idea of what that planting had brought to them. And they were looking forward to the quiet and the rest of winter. So, Mabon was a tremendously big festival. Now, we don't actually know that that's why they called it what they called it. So, in the 1970s, the neo-pagans, if anyone's body just went, oh my God, pagan, it means that our Christian forefathers did their job well, teaching us that anyone who thinks differently about their theology than Christians is a pagan. Anybody who thinks that their theology, their spirituality is bound into the earth and nature is a pagan. It's all bad. Did anyone get that feeling when I said pagan? It's pretty ingrained in us, okay? It's pretty ingrained in us. All it meant was those 2 things. Somebody who practiced their spirituality different than the Orthodox Church, and usually someone who had a bit of a nature-bound element to their spirituality. We think now of how much we are grateful to learn from our indigenous people's spirituality. Yes? That is a pagan, a nature-bound spirituality, and it has so much to teach us. So the reason we don't know what it was called was because our Christian forefathers did a really good job of wiping out the Celtic Fall Festival. It was too pagan. So in the 1970s, some neo-pagans are Wiccans that are all over the place now, and we are not burning them at the stake. We're instead learning that maybe they were right about some things. They chose the name Mabon. That comes from an ancient Celtic myth, a little bit like Persephone, about a character who dies, goes into the underworld, and is reborn. You can see exactly why it works for this time of year. So we're going to reclaim this, and we're going to talk later about why we're reclaiming it. I think some of you can probably guess why we need to reclaim this earth-centered spirituality. But in the meantime, raise your leaf high and shout to each other, Mary Mabon! Mary Mabon! We're going to have 2 gathering songs this morning, and I chose these because they illustrate exactly what I just talked about. Christianity was formed in the time of the Roman Empire, and it served the Roman Empire for a very long time. In fact, it often served whatever government was in charge. So because of that, it was originally, and for many centuries, largely a religion about domination. Okay? Think about it. I don't even need to give you an example, do I? A religion about domination. Get more land, get more people, get more influence, okay? Some of that still exists in some strains of Christianity. It has nothing to do with what Jesus taught at all. Jesus never suggested anything in terms of domination at all. So, you're going to hear, we're going to sing two pieces today. They're both United Church of Canada pieces. And you're going to see the transformation that the United Church of Canada and many, many other Christian faith groups are embracing. The first one is only as old as 1939, but you're going to see the dominance of nature. It's also super fun to sing because it's got a great tune, okay? Like All Things Now Living. And the second one is going to be something completely different. So let's stand. Nancy's going to come up. We're going to start with 1939 theology. And here we go with Let All Things Now Living.
Wait, I want to say one little thing.
Yeah.
So, Let All Things Now Living is based on the tune The Lonely Ash Grow.
Oh, hello.
And the name Etobicoke is about the growth of ashes. So cool.
Look at us getting more nature-based. I love it. Okay, here we go. Let All Things Now Living. The tune is fantastic, so you're allowed to enjoy it.
Alders.
Here we go. Okay, God made us, okay? God is to be praised. We are lowly, God is high. There's a separation between us and God. God enforces, the planets to be where they are. We all got that, right? Now we're going to go to a piece that was written in, I think, 2004 in Eastern Canada. You're going to see the Eastern Canada in this, although it also applies to here, and we should do our own version. It's a completely different thing. But as I'm going to be talking about, what is a spiritual life if it is not transforming us, and transforming us in significant ways? So here we go. We're going to sing, Oh, Beautiful Gaia. What's Gaia? Earth. Earth, Mother Earth. Okay.
Crashing
Did you feel it? It's time to let that one go and live into a new spiritual freedom. We can learn from everyone, can't we? So, we're going to say it together. It comes after where it says equinox prayer, of course, so here we go. Equal hours of light and darkness, we celebrate the balance of Mabon and ask our God to bless us. For all that is bad, there is good. For all which is despair, there is hope. For the moments of pain, there are moments of love. For all that falls, there is a chance to rise again. May we find balance in our lives as we find it in our hearts. Okay, we're going to do a Mabon meet and greet instead of coffee hour today. That means we're going to have some of the little tastes and the smells of autumn, okay? In the Celtic areas, it was very common to eat first and then have topping later. So that's what we're going to do today. We have at the back some little cinnamon circle things that I made, which may be possibly slightly undercooked, but whatever. There are cupcakes for the kids who probably don't want the cinnamon things. If you don't want either of those, there are some grapes. Then move along, and there's some apple cider or water, and I have a little bit of warm cider going over there. Not a whole lot because it's warm, okay? Take your time. Say hi to people. Everyone to the back, let's have some Mabon festivities.
That's better.
incredible that you were able to fly. How was it? Uncomfortable?
Well, I flew forward.
Yeah, the planes are not that comfortable.
It's like straight up.
Just move over that way. That's good.
I'm going to get a little
You can see Mona better now.
necessary to keep this place going and help so many people have a better life. We're making a little change to how that happens. We're not having a passing of an offering plate anymore. We're simply saying thank you for leaving your offering in a plate at the back on your way out, or thank you for giving on card, or thank you for giving on Canada Health, or thank you for e-transferring us, or thank you for giving your time and talent. Thank you so much. What you give here changes the lives of so many people. Ancient wisdom, ancient ways is what we're going to be talking about for the next 4 Sundays. Every Sunday for the next 4 weeks, we're going to highlight a different festival that happens at this time of year. Today, of course, is Mabon. You already know that one. Next week, we're going to do Rosh Hashanah, which is a Jewish festival, also about fall and autumn, also happening, celebrating a new beginning, and it happens to take place starting right after next Sunday. We're going to have a klezmer band, klezmer duo here. I know! I saw a few faces light up. Like, so fantastic. I'm so excited. So you want to be here to learn more about this ancient, ancient festival. Then you can see what's coming up after that. So, our kids' song, for anyone who's going out with Julia or Billy, I've been asking for people to suggest songs about walking, okay? Walking. And I knew someone would come up with this one. Everyone stand. This is our dance moment. Where are our kids? Hi, kids. Anyone who's going with Julia or Billy? And if you think you're too old, go with Billy anyway. She's baking today. Yay. Here we go. Push it up, Jennifer. Push it up. Our walking song. Ooh. Ecclesiastes is, I'm going to say a strange book in the Old Testament, but you know, a lot of them are. Ecclesiastes claims to have been written by one person, and it means wisdom writing, okay? It's about wisdom writing. But the name Ecclesiastes actually is supposed to have come from this person who wrote it. There are myths, there are legends, whatever, that it was written by Solomon. It was not written by Solomon. It was written after the time of Solomon. We know that because of references in it. But what we love about it is the poetry. The poetry of this is so beautiful. It is not always easy to understand, and we're going to parse that out. But what you're going to hear today is the piece that you're very familiar with, which is about verses 1 to 8, and then a little section that comes after that you may not have heard. Thanks so much, Matt.
Today's reading is Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 to 15, from the New Revised Standard Edition. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What gain have the workers from their toil? I've seen the business that God has given to everyone to be busy with. He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds, yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, It is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. I know that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken away from it. God has done this so that all should stand in awe before him. That which is already has been. That which is to be already is, and God seeks out what has gone by.
Now, when I tried to come up with a song to celebrate Mabon, for Happy Mabon, I couldn't think of anything. I tried to find something that was, nature-based. We had the beautiful Gaia song. That was as close as I came. But nothing that talked about the central pagan Wiccan theme of the turning of the wheel. And then I remembered this. There you go. It's based on our scripture. It talks about the wheel of life turning, and we're all going to sing it together with harmony leading us.
I hope everyone sings along. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to be, a time to plant, a time to be. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time of giving thanks, a time to reaping to everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to make, a time of soul, a time to live, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Thank you so much. So this is what I want to talk about, obviously, today. I want to talk about the wisdom of Mabon. And I'm going to guess that there aren't many churches across the world that are celebrating this today. And it's because of what I said. As a religion, okay, not as a spiritual path, hear the difference, as a religion was formulated during the Roman Empire, and it was very much a tool of empire for most of our existence. That's only for the orthodox, okay, the sort of institutional piece of Christianity. There has always been other strains of Christianity which honored something very, very different. But with the institutional Christianity, which is what most of us grew up in, and which was, you saw embedded in the hymn from 1939 that we sang, there was this idea that if we are doing our jobs as Christians, we are dominating, okay? We are expanding Christianity throughout the world. We are expanding the influence of Christianity over government. We are expanding the influence of Christianity over every aspect of people's minds, bodies, and lives. If anybody is thinking of the political situation down south right now, that's exactly the message that some Christians are holding on to, and that some people who aren't Christian are using simply as a tool to get what they think is right. Because that's happened a lot, okay? When the whole thing about same-sex marriage came up in Canada, so many people came to me and said, well, you know, there was Adam and Eve, it's a man and a woman, and there were people who never darkened the doors of the church, right? But as long as the Bible worked for them, they were going to use it as an authority. The idea of domination seems very repugnant to us often now, and of course it should. We simply look at our indigenous peoples and realize what our domination of them did. Our domination of their culture, our domination of their language, our attempts to dominate their minds, and in fact their essential existence. We can see the harm that was done to our indigenous peoples. We can also see the harm that was done to us, to our souls. I don't think it was Martin Luther King Jr., but I can't find out who it was who said, it is not until all slaves are free that the master can be free also. We are not free when we are dominating. We are exerting our will over others, over this world, and we are not able to connect with it in a real way. Domination simply makes one anxious, about the next battle. Domination makes one angry if they cannot get compliance, if you can't achieve success the way you're supposed to achieve success with domination. Domination separates you from others and from your true self. I said that there was nothing in Jesus' message about domination, and that's why there have always been other strains of Christianity that have celebrated and honored and lived into something very different. The idea of living in humility, in connection, in care and kindness. The idea that the purpose of Christianity is not for us to exert our will on the world, but for us to allow God, or whatever you call your higher power, to change us, to make us more open-hearted, to make us more generous, to make us less afraid. Because at the base of domination is fear. So when I asked you what happens to you in your body when I bring up the idea of wicked, right? Most of us in our body have a visceral reaction, and it comes from the time of domination. When women, particularly, were being told, women bad, right? Women bad. We will dominate the actions of women. We will dominate women's agency in the world, what they can do in the world. They can no longer be healers in the world. We will dominate women's speech. We will dominate women's bodies. We will blame them. Our problems are women, right? This is still happening. And this was such a big message that we feel it in our bones and our bodies today. When I suggest that maybe we can embrace and learn from the pagan spiritualities, of which Celtic Christianity is one. We did a whole thing about a year ago on Celtic Christianity and the idea that there were strains of Christianity right up to the 400s and then, came back in the 1200s and such, and is back now, which said, no, we are not meant to be living in dominance over the world. We are meant to be living in harmony with the world. So what happens to us now if we understand that that idea of dominance still lives in our minds? Because it does, okay? It does. We still have this idea that we have to change people's opinions about things. We still have this idea that we have to fix life and make it work out the way we want. We still have this idea that we have to get out there and form the world and form other people the way that will make us comfortable. That is a form of dominance. Now, if anyone is sitting there and going, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to, get out there and work for good in the world? Yeah. But that's different than exerting your will on the world in a dominant way, in a way which harms the person that you're changing. instead of connects you more greatly with the person that you're changing. So what we lose when we lose the practice and the acceptance and the embrace of these ancient earthbound festivals and theologies is we lose the opportunity to learn in one of the most deep and rich and magical ways that the universe provides. We lose the understanding that we are meant to be taught by the earth. We are not meant to dominate the earth. We are meant to learn from the earth. Now, that doesn't mean that the earth can't bring us good things. Absolutely it can, and anyone who's ever lived in an agricultural setting will know that. Anyone who enjoyed their cider will know that. Anyone who liked the cinnamon will know that. The earth gives us many things, but there's a way to be with the earth that's not domination, isn't there? And that's the mindset that we are gradually changing in the world today. But it takes a long time. It takes a long time. So the reason I wanted to talk about Mabon actually didn't start with the idea of Mabon or ancient Christianity. It started when I came across a story about this guy here. Not that guy, but this guy, Giuseppe, okay? I don't know if you can see it, but you probably know this picture, in fact. Yeah? Oh, you do not? Okay, so this artist, whose first name I can pronounce beautifully, Giuseppe, unless, where's Randall? Randall, how do you pronounce his last name? Italian speaker person. Oh, Archibaldo. Oh, I wish you could hear Randall say that. Archibaldo. It sounded so good. Okay. He was an artist, obviously, in the 1500s. He was Italian, but spent a lot of time in Sweden. I don't know why. The food is not as good, if you ask me. But anyway, he created two kinds of art. One was he was hired to create portraits of the emperors of the day, okay? And some of the religious leaders of the day. And they were very beautiful and formal portraits. And then he did this whole other kind of art, which was faces, human beings, made up of a composite of fruits or flowers. Or there is a spectacular one he did, which is a human being, like a face and torso, which is signifying winter, that he does entirely of bare roots. It's just spectacular in my mind. And what I wondered about when I was reading about him was the fact that when his art was presented to the world, people were horrified. Absolutely horrified. They loved his portraits of the emperors, okay, which were dignified and stately, which were symbols of dominance, right? Success by dominance. They hated his portraits of human beings that suggested that we were creaturely, that we were part of nature, that we were perhaps even mortal, that we were connected with the natural world. And he suffered a huge amount of backlash from people. I mean, I look at this and I go, I don't know, I think it's kind of whimsical, it's kind of fun, but the idea that we are not dominant, that we are part of nature, was so extraordinarily offensive and threatening in the 1500s that people actually boycotted or, did our version of picketing his exhibitions. That may sound extraordinary. But it's the same thing I've been talking about, and it made me realize how deeply this idea of dominance of nature and dominance of our lives is ingrained in us, and it's not just in the 1500s. The point of having a spiritual practice is the opposite of domination. The point of engaging in a spiritual practice or a spiritual path is to allow and invite and ask for and pray for and commit ourselves to change. To change. Not to digging ourselves more into ideas and opinions, not to finding some kind of success in the world that we have to hang on to so hard, which usually looks like stuff or position or reputation. The idea behind a true spiritual life is that it lets go of all of those things and allows us to flow like the seasons, so that our ideas can change and our opinions can change, and all of it flows towards one point, which is a deeper connection with ourselves, with whatever we think this higher power is, and with each other, and with our earth. And with our earth. So as we lose this idea of connection with the earth, we lose the earth's ability to teach us. We go through our fall thinking, oh, well, it's super nice. It's fall. It's very pretty. I should have a pumpkin latte at Starbucks. Don't. It's like hot water and it's $5. Okay, just don't. But we don't spend time thinking about how the seasons are meant to teach us. And when I think about fall, when I think about being taught by the seasons, I realize that for me, I think autumn has one of the most profound messages, and it is contained in that scripture. You know, it says there's a season to everything, right? There's a season for this, and a season to that, and a season to this, and a season to that. But for me, what autumn teaches us, and what anyone in agriculture knows, and I think we know too, is one season doesn't sort of end and then another one happens, right? I mean, what point did you stop being youth? What point what was the moment, okay, when suddenly the switch went and you are no longer a young person? What was the point at which you were no longer, an adult and you were an older adult? We sort of count the years, but we know that that's not the truth of what our bodies and minds feel. And the same is true with the seasons. At what point is it actually fall? It's not today, let me tell you. I am dying. I put on my suit this morning, walked out my door and went, no, I don't think so. Okay. And that is one of the deepest teachings of autumn, is that there is a time for weeping, and there is a time for joy, and there is a time for feeling that hatred of things that we don't want, and there is a time for being able to embrace love. There's a time for all of those, and sometimes they're all the same thing. They're all come together. That is what life is. They all come together. So what does that teaching mean? That means that the teaching is twofold. One is that we're not waiting to get through this season of difficulty before we start looking for the blessings, for the things that might give us joy. And the other one is that we start looking for both, okay? So in the times when we are really struggling, when we are finding it hard, in the season of darkness, even despair, we start remembering things are never one season. The seasons blend together like autumn, where one day it's going to rain, one day it's going to be sunny, and they are as glorious as that. And we start looking for where are the pieces of light here. And I'm not denying my darkness, and I'm not denying my despair, and I'm not denying that this season is hard, but where are the pieces of light that come through as well? Where are the pieces of beauty? And it's always there. It's in a kind word. It's in a beautiful scene that we pass. It's in a sunset. I love that the flowers of autumn are the deep, rich colors of sunset. There is something so profoundly and deeply thoughtful about that. And it is in this time when we're moving into the most darkness, the most quiet, the most reflective, sometimes the most dark and bleak, that nature is always also, I think, showing us the most beauty. Anyone know Tom Thompson? Tom Thompson took up guiding in Algonquin Park because he said there was nothing to paint in the summer, it's just green. So a lesson I take from autumn is that the seasons are not one thing after another, and I'm not going to wait for my happiness. I'm not going to think, okay, either I'm all happy, or it's not happy. I'm not going to think I'm sad and that's all there is. I'm going to remember that the seasons of my life blend, and that there's always more than one thing happening, and I want to see that and honor it, because the difficult things become easier and the happier things more precious. And I think the other message that we get from autumn is all too clear, and that is the idea that everything we have that we're clinging to, we need to let go of, right? We need to let go of. There are ways that we are suffering right now that we need to let go of, that we can let go of. How long has humankind suffered with the idea that domination over others is a good way to go? We're suffering now. You look at the Middle East. You look at what Russia's doing. You look at the States. You look at things here. We are suffering from this idea that domination is the way to go. We find through the idea of autumn that letting go of the things that are not working in our lives mirrors the season, doesn't it? A Wiccan friend of mine says that every time a leaf falls, she remembers her intention for autumn is to let something go. Something go. This year, she's trying to let go something really difficult. Not an uncommon thing. Her 28-year-old daughter has totally ghosted her inexplicably for a year. And she's trying to let go of that and just keep in her mind love, and keep in her mind joy, and keep in her mind wishes for her daughter's good. So every time a leaf falls, my friend Corinne is going to remember that intention. And that is something that autumn teaches us. Whatever we let go of, something new is going to grow. There may be a time of difficult waiting. It may seem bleak, but things are going to grow again. We learn that when we embrace the teachings of the season. And of course, the greatest teaching that autumn can give us is the teaching that all of humankind needs right now. And it is about changing from domination to cooperation, but it's also about honoring the earth. Human beings are difficult people. We will keep doing whatever we're doing as long as we can make it work, right? I mean, that's what we keep doing it. You'll keep doing it in your relationships, okay? As long as I can keep telling my partner that they need to pick up after themselves, right? You know, and I don't walk out the door or something. I'm going to keep doing it, right? As long as I can keep saying that, you know, I need more, whatever it is, you just pick something, okay? There's some way in which you're trying to make something work in your life. You know, the more I can feel guilt, the better person I'm going to be. It's not going to happen, right? We hold on to things even though they're not working. We're like alcoholics, except our alcohol is like guilt, or our alcoholic is judgment, or alcohol is self-righteousness, or whatever, right? Or I need to be right. We hold on to it as long as we can possibly make it work. Our opinion is somebody else, right? Gonna hold on to that until we possibly can't suffer anymore. And then we're ready to look at something different. And the gentleness of autumn shows us that it doesn't have to be like that, does it? It doesn't have to be like that. Those things that we're going to let go of, we can let go of gently, without shame or blame for ourselves or others. Nobody blames the world. Nobody blames the trees or the flowers because the leaves are falling. We understand that this is part of the natural transition. It's part of the proper movement. It's part of the rightful change. I think if we can embrace a different kind of learning from the seasons, it can help us live more humbly. It can help us live with greater connection to ourselves, to others, to this God thing, and to the earth, which we so need. It can help us live more richly, and it can help us live a little less lonely. Because when we connect to the world around us, we place ourselves in it. We realize that we are part of this amazing creation, not separate from it. We are friended by the trees and the sun and the rain. We have a right to be here, and we find meaning in that. So, today, and for the next few weeks, I will be merrily celebrating Mabon, grateful to our Celtic ancestors who understood the importance of digging deep into this time of year to find wisdom for our own lives. I will look at that part of me that still says, oh my gosh, if you stand up there and talk about Wiccan, you'll be looking for a new church next week. Only at RUC can I do this. I hope not. And I will remember that there are things to be taught that I can only learn from places I have discounted, she said, pointing at the murals. And I will also remember that the wheel turns and that Mabon, like every other day and moment, is indeed a chance for me to begin and live in a different way. So for that I say, Merry Mabon, and thanks be to God. Let's take a moment for silent reflection. Anthony, maybe 30 seconds, and then Anthony's going to play.
As the day matches the night, and we move into a new season, help us to be still and hear the whispering words of you, Gaia, to remember that everything has a time and a place, even if it is not when or where we would like it to be. Give us strength to live life differently, in line with the message of love you passed along to us. Not the lie of domination, not the lie of domination that the powers that be told us was important. Help us to find our way home. God, by whatever name we call you and however we experience you in our individual lives, these are the prayers of the people today. For the people of Gaza and all those living with conflict and violence, may we as humans find a more peaceful way forward. For all those struggling with their mental health or addictions. For Mona's family, Andrea, Bradley, and the boys, Aiden and Angus, may they feel how much they are loved. For Eduarda, for comfort as she mourns the loss of her husband. And for Luba's husband and Tom Heaton, for healing. For Karen, Zabede, Anne, Tasha, Jade, and for Jacqueline, we're holding you all in our hearts. We make these prayers confident of your eternal presence. Amen.